your Sports Dialogue podcast host, Paul Edwards.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sports Dialogue. I'm here today to discuss the NBA playoffs, both in the Eastern Conference and the West. I want to start off by saying congratulations to the New York Knicks for making it to the finals, the NBA finals. Well deserved. I know the Knicks fans are happy, so am I. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm happy, and I know the Knicks organization, current and former players, are very happy, and everyone in New York and Knicks fans across the country and the world are very happy, and as they should be. So congratulations to the New York Knicks. Also, want to give a shout out to the Cleveland Cavs. Even though they lost, they beat Toronto, a good Toronto team in round one. They certainly beat a very good Detroit team in round two. And they ran into the Knicks, who were playing really, really great in round three. And, the Knicks won 4 in a row. So, but I would, encourage Cleveland to stay together and come on back next year. So congratulations to Cleveland and all the playoff teams, particularly the ones that advance to the second round and certainly to the third round. Nothing to be ashamed of, just get better next year. But I'm so happy for the New York Knicks. I'm here primarily today to discuss the Western Conference Finals between OKC and the San Antonio Spurs. So we have tomorrow, Game 6 in that series is going to be played. But I want to play back for you a little bit of what I said before. I believe it was Game 5, which was played in OKC. And so I'm going to play for you what I said, and I'm going to play the highlights of Game 5. Then I'll come on back and discuss it. San Antonio shot 38.9% from field goal percentage. There's room for improvement there, and 27.3%. OKC shot 33%. And then from the three-point line, I said that San Antonio needs to shoot better than 27.3%, but OKC shot 18.2%. This could be a little insight into fatigue. They're trying hard. Both teams are really, really playing at a high intensity level. When you watch it, the intensity level is there, and the refs are letting them bang a little bit there. You see some stuff going on out there that you don't see during the regular season. So both teams not trying to hurt each other, but they are bodying up on each other, and sometimes the referees are letting it go. So both teams are playing at a high intensity level. But as I said, when you see the shooting numbers off like that, it could be a little bit of insight as to, hey, we're wearing down a little bit. And both teams could shoot a lot better. It happens, I notice it happens quickly in the NBA playoffs. I don't see teams breaking mentally. But I do see, when I say break, I mean it's where there's a disconnect between what the mind wants the body to do and what the body's capable of doing. You might be seeing a little bit of what's to come based upon their shooting percentages. Now, they have a day off, and tomorrow they may get some pretty good rest and come out and shoot the lights out in Game 5. But both teams didn't shoot it as well as they can, which could be an indication that there's a little fatigue going on. So, with that said, in Game 5 in OKC, I think that the Spurs will prevail.
Held the ball earlier than he usually does at this point in the game.
He's trying to work through the double team. It's kept alive by the diving Stephon Castle.
SGA continues to try to split double teams.
Oh, Champagne's hit 11 in a row. Keeps the trip alive with Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA 0-2 still far, and he's turned it over a couple of times. Dylan Harper all the way. Champagne cleans it up. He now has 13 points. Bodies down. Johnson goes inside to Wimby. That's the way to get going. Alley-oop dunk.
And the process. The ball has energy. It'll find it.
He's been amazing at the line. 35 of 36. Bryant to the basket.
Ooh.
The seas part, and the young fella goes up top. Tip back to Holmgren. Wimby waiting. Wimby blocking. Back the other way. He runs the floor. Wants the lob. Castle and SGA get a hand on it.
Yes.
Okay. But you don't want to see that in a flagrant one. Oh, look at this.
Keldon Johnson. Bully ball 101. It is a one-point game. pass to the lob. Wimby, beautiful finish with one hand and one.
He has a layup or a lob threat and Chet Holmgren.
Harper. Nope. Johnson crashes. Castle three. Got that.
Nice.
Vassell. Contacted three. +1. What a time to make his second deep ball of the night.
Okay, so you saw exactly what I said going into game 5. You saw the highlights. At the risk of repeating myself, I didn't think both teams, particularly OKC, didn't shoot as well as they're capable of doing and normally do. And I thought that could have been a sign of fatigue or, fatigue starting to rear its ugly head. Because that's what happens when you get fatigued, you don't shoot as well. And I did say, though, that going into game 5, a good night's rest, teams may turn it around and come out and shoot the lights out. So let's dive into what happened in game five, which, as you may or may not know, OKC won game 5 in OKC. And let's take a look at OKC first, and I'll take a look at the Spurs. Then I'll tell you what I think could possibly happen in Game 6. OKC in Game 5, they shot from a field goal percentage 48.2%, which is pretty good. That's almost 50%, from the overall shooting percentage. That includes 2-pointers and 3-pointers. And they shot 43.8% from the 3-point line in game 5. And what's the importance of that? In game 4 in San Antonio, where OKC lost, they shot 33% overall versus 48% in game 5. And they shot 18% in game 4 from the 3-point line versus 43.8% in game 5. So the fatigue issue did not rear its ugly head for OKC in game 5 because they shot it much better than they did in game 4. And if you take a look back in game 1, OKC shot overall field goal percentage at 40.7% and 3-point percentage at 37.7%. That was game 1. Game 1, OKC lost primarily, I think, because I will get into the reasons why in a minute when I talk about San Antonio, but I want to show a parallel here. Wimby had 41 points and was pretty dominant in game 1, although OKC shot 40.7% field goal percentage and 37% from 3. In game 2, OKC shot it even better, and they won. In game 2, OKC shot 47.9%. There's almost 48% from field goal percentage and 36.1% from 3-point line. So they stayed the same between game 1 and 2 for the 3-point line, and they're up their shooting percentage by almost 8 percentage points in game 2 from game 1. Then in game 3, OKC shot 48.1%. So they stayed consistent with their overall shooting percentage at 48.1%, and they upped the 3-point percentage from 36.1% in game 2 to 44 points from the 3-point line in game 3. So they were shooting pretty well in game 2 and game 3. They upped their shooting percentage from game 1, and they won game 2 and game 3. They traveled from Oklahoma City to San Antonio with their game in game 3, but when they traveled from the hotel to the arena while they're in San Antonio, I wouldn't say they left the game in the hotel room, but they certainly left their shooting percentage in the hotel. Because in game 4 in San Antonio, they shot 33% field goal percentage and 18.2 from 3-point line, which they're normally shooting in game 2, 47.9, and game 3, 48%. So something happened in game 4. If I were San Antonio, I'd say, yeah, our defense happened. But I'm sure that was a little bit of it, but something happened. But OKC rebounded. They went back home in game 5 and shot it like they normally did in game 2 and 3, 48.2%. Field goal percentage and 43.8% from the 3-point line. So OKC did not show fatigue. I didn't see it visually, and I didn't see it in their numbers. So let's take a look at what San Antonio did. In game 5, San Antonio shot 40.2% from field goal percentage and 29.3% in field 3-point percentage in game 5. So it was significantly less than Oklahoma City, 48% from field goal percentage and 43.8 from 3-point line. They were significantly less percentage points, both from the field and from the 3-point line. That was in game 5. And if you look at game 1, which San Antonio won, they shot 42% field goal percentage and 30.2% field goal percentage, which is pretty similar to what they did in game 5. 40.2 and 29.3 in game 5, 42.7 and 30.2 in game 1. But they won game 1 and lost game 5. They won game 1, in my opinion, because Wimby had 41 points and played dominant. In game 3, the Spurs shot at 38.5 and 27 points, which is similar to games 5 and game 1. So the Spurs are shooting it on average about 40% or so from overall from the field, and about 30%, 30% from three-point line. That's what they've been doing this series. Versus OKC, they're up at 47, 48%, 44, 43% from the three-point line. So OKC is shooting it better. You know, the numbers are showing it. And as far as the fatigue with, as I said, with OKC, I didn't see it. With the Spurs, I saw some hints of it. I did see some hints of it. Listen, they're playing with a high intensity level. When I say they, both teams, there's no question about it. But I did see some hints of fatigue with San Antonio. But with that said, they still shot it in game 5 like they did in games 1 and 4, which is what those games they won. So they're shooting about the same, although they're showing a little bit of fatigue. They're shooting about the same. But the glaring difference to me is Wimby in game 1, 41 points. And why they won game 4, I think is, OKC didn't shoot it like they normally shoot it. They shot it 33 overall and 18.2% from three-point line. So going back to San Antonio for game 6, one of my thoughts, obviously start with OKC. They haven't showed any fatigue as yet, but that can happen quick for both teams because now they're into game 6 and their path to this series wasn't as tough as San Antonio's path in terms of, I think OKC swept the Lakers. So they only played 4 games there. So we don't know when the fatigue is going to really take hold or if it will. As I said, I did see a little bit of it at San Antonio. But in terms of game 6, I think that OKC needs to shoot just like they've been shooting, absent game 4, where they shot 33 overall and 18.2. If they shoot up around 47.8 and 44.3 for the three-point line and 48% or so to 50% overall, they have a good and don't show fatigue, even with the injured players, they have a good shot at winning in San Antonio. What San Antonio needs to do is, in my opinion, establish Wimby. He needs to get back to his game 1 form. Wimby has to score, I would say, 30 plus, definitely 30 plus, 30 to 40. And San Antonio needs definitely 30 plus, if not 40, 30 plus. And San Antonio needs to get at least 5 other players in double figures with him. So he cannot, although 30 plus, he can't do all the scoring. But when you establish Wimby, it makes it easier for the other players to score because the defense is really collapsing, will be collapsing on Wimby and focused on Wimby. So I think that the Spurs have to establish Wimby in game 6 to win. They need to fight through any fatigue level, shoot a little bit better than they have, around that 40%. They have to shoot a little bit better than that, I think, to make it easy for themselves. And if they could shoot 45% overall and 35% from 3, I think they're in good shape. But nonetheless, but no less than what they've been doing, which is around 40 and 30. If they do that and Wimby gets 30 plus and the fans in in San Antonio are going to be loud and it's going to be electric, and that usually gets the players to another level. That's the Spurs' path to win. And as I said, in my opinion, OKC's path is basically do what they've been doing, absent game 4, where they just didn't shoot the ball well and play that defense. Both teams play tough defense. So the question is, who do I think is going to do what I said each team has to do to be victorious? And it's tough. I think just looking at the numbers and it's very easy to pick OKC to win game 6. Problem is, in picking AC, in my opinion, is game 6 is in San Antonio. And San Antonio, those players have a lot of pride, even the players on the bench, the players who play, coaching staff, the organization, the former players. That organization has a lot of pride. And so does OKC. And the fans are going to come loud and heavy. So while the numbers say that OKC is shooting better, and OKC's defense is very handsy and they play tough, so there's no question that they're going to play defense. And based upon the shooting so far and the fact that they have not shown, to me, much fatigue, although they have the 2 players injured, I'm not sure what their status is going to be for tomorrow. I am going to pick the Spurs because they're home. And I think that Wimby will score 30 plus. and they'll get 5 other players in double figures, and then we'll see a game 7. And I'm not going to go past game 6. Those are my thoughts. Thanks for thanks for joining and staying tuned. And as always, I always encourage everyone to exercise with your doctor's approval, particularly if you're over a certain age. Make sure you get your doctor's approval to exercise. And exercise is good for your body and your mind. Those of us who are exercising, we know it. Your mental outlook improves. Not that you have a bad mental outlook, but things don't bother you as much. Certainly everybody worries about something, but you just feel your body feels tingly, your mind feels better. You don't worry as much. You don't, So for mentally, exercise is really good. And physically, it helps the heart to pump the blood throughout the system, your body more efficiently. And the stronger the blood flow throughout the body, the less inflammation that would build up, because the blood flow is pumping at a very strong level, and it's very difficult for inflammation to build up when that's happening. When the blood flow is stagnant, that's when the inflammation will build up. Blood pressure, exercise is perfect for your blood pressure. Even if you have high blood pressure, and if you have to take blood pressure medication, still exercise, because you might be able to get off the medication with exercise. And if you exercise, you may be able to not have to take the medication, not even start it, but I would, get a blood pressure cuff and check your pressure, every few days to make sure you're on track. And the various organs in the body benefit from exercise. But the key thing is, don't go out there trying to do everything in one day, because if you hurt yourself, human nature is, I'm not going to do that again. I don't know what Paul's talking about, but I'm not doing that again. So you want to do it lightly, raise your heart rate slowly and surely. And each time you exercise every other day, you increase what you do, but at a very slow pace, because it's a lifelong journey. It's not like you're getting ready for football camp like we used to, or basketball camp. This is a lifelong journey. So in any event, please try to get your exercising in, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining me. God bless you.
The Truth Plan shows us how to help to eliminate the inequities in affordable housing, unemployment, healthcare, education, the media, small businesses, access to capital, and much more. The Truth Plan also shows us how the elimination of these inequities also benefits the higher income community. The goals and objectives for equity are crucial in addressing the disparities that exist in our society. A primary focus must be on eliminating the racial, wealth, and equity gaps that disproportionately affect low-income and minority communities. This involves a comprehensive approach that includes ensuring access to affordable housing, improving employment opportunities, and enhancing healthcare access for underrepresented groups. By prioritizing these areas, we can create a more equitable foundation for all individuals, regardless of their background or economic status.
The Truth Plan is a self-help plan to eliminate the racial, wealth, and equity gap that exists between the low-income, the middle-income, the Black and brown communities, and the higher-income communities. The Truth Plan believes that all communities should prosper. The success of the Truth Plan will help to eliminate the inequities between the aforementioned communities in the areas of affordable housing, unemployment, healthcare, education, the media, small businesses, access to capital, and more. The higher income communities will also benefit. Prosperity for all. Never settle for less.